Welcome to Smart Remarks, where black and white isn't always black and white. So by now you might have heard the story of Chris Lane, the Australian baseball player who was gunned down while taking a jog in a small town in Oklahoma, allegedly killed by 3 black kids who were quote-unquote bored. It's shocking and senseless and frightening, but is this crime anything more than that? I ask because over the past couple of days, my Facebook feed has been lit up by conservatives who think this incident is somehow telling, or the media's coverage of it, or lack of coverage, is somehow indicative of something. Because America flipped out over the Trayvon Martin case when a white guy, really a Hispanic guy, killed a black kid. Why isn't America flipping out when black kids kill a white guy? It's an outrage and it's hypocrisy! Except it isn't really that. I said this about the Trayvon Martin case, but it bears repeating. There's a lot of people out there who want to believe that all of these things happen in a vacuum, that the issue of race in America is a blank slate. But it isn't that, and it can't be that. When a white guy follows a black kid because he thinks the black kid looks suspicious, basically because the kid is black, you have to consider the historical context. You think of all the times throughout American history when whites have killed blacks for similar reason or even flimsier reasons, and how the white guys usually got off scot-free. You might consider that 100 years ago, with cases like this one out in Oklahoma, angered local whites might have broken into the jailhouse and taken justice into their own hands by lynching the black kids involved. It happened a lot in American history, and you have to consider that history. And when you do, maybe you understand why the Trayvon Martin case might have seemed like more than a murder to those who have traditionally gotten the short end of the stick throughout American history. Now, white people have a hard time understanding this because they didn't live it. But there's also a lot of white people who don't want to understand it, because, see, in their world, it's whites who are oppressed now. You know, Obama didn't say that Chris Lane could have been his son. Joe Biden didn't weigh in on this. You know, blacks kill whites and it's no big deal. Except, who said it's no big deal? Of course it's a big deal. What, are these kids not going to be prosecuted? Of course they will be, and they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But should the media cover the case as extensively as it did the Trayvon Martin case? Why would the media do that? Tragic as it is, what historic and cultural significance does the murder of Chris Lane have? The Australian government sees some significance in it. It's advising travelers to avoid the United States until we pass some common sense gun laws. Conservatives are obviously going to reject that, and maybe they should. There's no evidence that more restrictive gun laws would have prevented Lane from being murdered. The point being that you can politicize a tragedy all you want, but let's understand the historic rationale for the politicization of the Trayvon Martin case. You can argue whether that was legitimate or appropriate or not, but what you can't argue is that there was some context for it. The murder of Chris Lane, terrible as it is, simply ain't the same